consider this. You are a well-adjusted young woman in your mid-20s. You love working with kids. You love the maternal instinct, the guide. You love hanging out with children. You love caring for other people. And so you seek out a profession in that. You seek to be a nanny. And you struggle because innately you know you want children. But logically, you're struggling with the implication of having children. Please persuade me not to have kids. I came across this post in the Childfree subreddit, which I found was really interesting for a variety of reasons, and I want to read it out to you and go through it, as well as some of the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Anyway, hello sinners, saints, my fellow ribs and the glories of men. Welcome back to another video. Today we are kind of diving into getting a bit of a sneak peek into the child-free lifestyle and thinking. As you know, I was child-free for a short while mentally. Yeah, I find it a very fascinating philosophy. I don't want to share too many of my thoughts on it lest I make a bit of a straw man out of the position. I think there are genuine people who should not be having kids, and who are not meant to have kids, first of all, those who don't want them. But if you have engaged in a reproductive act and you have done things that are going to lead you on the path to kids, you should have the children that you currently have. Anyway, I find this post interesting though, and I'd like to read it out to you. I am a 26 female live-in nanny for work and so have been exposed to many of the negative parts of parenting, which has been 90% of the reason for choosing to be child-free. The other 10% is I don't want my kid to suffer, especially through heartbreak or predatory men like I have. I care about the environment, don't want my kid to waste life in school and work, and value sleep, and am an introvert. Also grew up with a stress-poor single mother of 3. Yet I still find myself feeling very abnormal, romanticizing having a family. I think my hormones/nature is responsible for this. I really wanted a family before being a nanny. I've always been single, and I guess I struggle with the possibility of staying single. I want to be loved for me and not my uterus. Please do your best to knock me out of this mindset in the comments, and I will constantly revisit the comments to knock me out of it. I don't know, man. That sounds like someone that will read the comments and then seriously, deeply, deeply regret the decision that she's made in 10 years. I know a lot of my friends, late 20s women, are kind of struggling with this, that you're young, you have this inclination toward being a mother, you have these maternal instincts, but intellectually you've kind of dealt with it like a few troubles in life. You've kind of wrestled with the darkness of the world, in all honesty. It is a tough place. And that's been a stronger argument for you not wanting to have children than wanting to have children. But deep down, there's a part of you that would love the idea. And I think there are so many articles and so many celebrities and stories of people in a similar boat that get to the later part of their lives, past their mid-40s, into their 50s, and really, really deeply regret this decision of being child-free. It was actually one of the main reasons that kind of woke me up. I was like, wow, I'm someone that lives my life doing my best to avoid regret where possible. And seeing so many people talk about this regret of never having children and deeply desiring it, prioritizing their career too much over having kids, heavily impressed upon me. Anyway, sorry, side point, let's get back to the post. Okay, so she's a live-in nanny for work. So not only is she just a regular nanny, and I say this very kindly, my nana is a nanny. I, for a while last year, actually sought out the help of a nanny. We didn't end up hiring anyone, but my family was at a place where I was incredibly busy with work and I needed some extra assistance. But then we decided to rearrange my work arrangements instead of actually going through and getting a nanny. I'm going to say this brutally and very honestly, like I've been on the job with my nana a few times, nannying. A nanny more often, and I've also heard this anecdotally from nanny friends, a nanny more often than not is often walking into a dysfunctional situation. And I say that not exactly in a super negative sense, not like there's drug addiction going on or anything, but in a sense that there is not a normative or cohesive family environment going on. For someone to seek out the services of a nanny, that usually implies that someone does not have the correct priorities within the family dynamic and their particular role. Most often, it is because a woman is working full-time or working excessive hours, or in a sense not prioritizing the children for the stage of life that they are in. Yes, which is a very controversial thought, but I say this as someone who is in that situation, and I say this as someone who's seen that situation multiple times. Yes, it is most often caused by already a dysfunctional family environment. So, if you are a nanny who is considering having kids in the future, and all you see in your work, and I'd say this is quite similar potentially as well with childcare workers and some forms of teachers, despite being in heavily maternal roles, they're often exposed to dysfunctional situations more often than the general population. So already, if you're a nanny, you already have not the greatest view on family and family dynamics, or not the greatest view or not the greatest experiences on family and family dynamics. And she says this, and so have been exposed to the many negative parts of parenting, which have been 90% of the reason for choosing to be child-free. The other 10% is, I don't want my kid to suffer. I get this noble cause of not wanting someone to suffer, but ultimately, there's two ways you can think about it. Suffering is a part of life. And perhaps that's a factor of life that actually makes the greater parts of life more beautiful. And on top of that, sometimes suffering is necessary for greater growth, greater greatness. It's like you go to the gym. You can go to the gym and say, I don't want to suffer today. How much growth are you actually going to get out of your gym session? Now, I know I'm oversimplifying the issue by providing a gym analogy, but there is a kernel of truth in there that the through line remains the same. Suffering is a part of life. It makes life more beautiful, and it makes life even greater. And without it, we would miss out on so much more than not having any suffering at all. Think of how much the person who achieves greatness appreciates it so much more when they've previously been bankrupt and risen from nothing through heartbreak or predatory men like I have. Yeah, but also as well, and I say this, you've heard me say this multiple times, who says your kid isn't going to be the one who changes that? Who is a trailblazer for women's rights, women's defense, women's protection? That's another thought as well. I care about the environment, same with the environment. Don't want my kid to waste a life in school and work. I hear you, that's why I'm homeschooling. Let's keep it flexible. Let's give my kids as many possibilities and opportunities as they desire. And value sleep. I hear you, just co-sleep. It's a lot easier on your sleep schedule. And I'm an introvert. What are you talking about? Having kids is like the best thing for an introvert. You have like the best excuse to leave any social scenario that you want to. The amount of times I've gone, oh, it's time for his nap. Oh, he's not feeling well. Oh, he's getting a bit tired. Oh, he's getting hungry. My kid's barely a year old and I've used him for so many excuses. It's the golden ticket. If anything, introverts should be like the greatest pronatalists. Oh, man. Also grew up with a stressed, poor single mother of 3. Yeah. I don't think that helped either. Yet I still find myself feeling it very abnormal, romanticizing having a family. I think innately, this is the kind of person that I would want to persuade from being child-free. It's their decision ultimately. But if she was here sitting in front of me, I would say, I know you have many valid intellectual reasons, and I hear you on those. But I think the path that you choose in not having children is going to end up with such a deeper regret and so much worse for you in the long run. And I say that because of her second paragraph, where she still talks about, despite all these intellectual reasons, this innate desire to still have children. There are certain people who were meant to be mothers. Just saying that, very controversial. Anyway, so some of the comments in typical Reddit fashion. Imagine it's a weekend and you wake up feeling like death, a raging fever, pounding headache, and stomach feeling like it's already preparing for a whole day of continuous throwing up. Now imagine a kid running over to your bed full of energy, shaking you, getting in your face, climbing next to you, saying, "Mummy, mummy, mummy, I want to need a, come on, come on." To be fair, like, that's kind of cute. What a great motivation to actually get up out of your bed and feel a little bit better instead of staying in your bed and feeling sorry for yourself. To me, the final straw is that you can never be sure that your man will stay with you, and you can end up as a single mum at all times. 100% agree. But that's why there should be greater repercussions and greater penalties for fathers who abandon their children. I don't think the solution is abstaining from the system altogether. I think there's reform and solutions that you can work towards. Destroy his life, girlfriend. Yeah, a lot of people say that if you want to be a parent, be prepared to be a single parent. There's no guarantee that you'll always have someone to share the responsibility of parenting with. Someone said gestures everywhere. I mean, the state of the world is sufficient enough. Yeah, the world's getting better though. Whether you have children or not is up to you. Just don't have them until your prefrontal cortex is fully developed. Until you seek therapy and get your finances in order. No child deserves to be parentified or dragged into poverty. I agree with the last statement. No kid should be parentified or dragged into poverty. But once again, our standard of what we can do financially varies wildly and is very abstract, if we're honest about it. And this idolatry of the prefrontal cortex must be solved, and then I will make the best decisions in my life. No, we're constantly failing, we're constantly learning. Just because you've hit a magical number that science determines does not mean you will be your wisest or best self at that time. In fact, some people get to that age and they start to kind of revert, if you know what I mean. But, as always, it's up to that person. Like I said before, the regret of not having kids, I think, is something that we're going to see seriously spike in our lifetime. We're going to see a lot of lonely people hitting their late 40s, 50s, 60s, looking up, looking around, and being like, oh, ultimately I have no one. Sure, I may have a partner, I may have my cats, I may have my dogs, I may even have a spouse, but ultimately, when I get old and when they get old, there's no one really here left for us. There's something about parenting and becoming a parent that you just can't explain. You just don't get it. And I hate to be that kind of gatekeepery kind of person, but becoming a parent really does change you inside out. It changes your whole world, your whole perspective shifts. Things become different. And I wish that upon everyone who wishes for it. If you're struggling to have kids, I hope your arms are full soon. If you are debating going back and forward about this topic, I hope you have some clarity, because I would hate for you to be the person that misses out. The person that gets to their 30s, 36, 37, 38, or even later, and goes, oh, I would really love a child, and has had opportunity for at least 10 years, say, and is now realizing that it's too late for children. It's too late to go back. Remember, we only get one shot at life, and got to be good stewards of it, and we got to use it. We got we've got to do best accordingly to what we've been given. So, don't live with regret. Might be worth having kids. Anyway, grace and peace from our Lord and Saviour, and I'll see you tomorrow.